What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today with a bit of a preview to Infinite Era Alikita. Not really with the review yet, I don't quite feel confident in doing that. I think I have to test way more than what I already did, but I want to give you guys a little bit of a preview so you can see with your own eyes whether you think she's good or not. I can tell you she's in my PvP team at the moment, and I think that's the good place for her, because she's doing quite well, honestly. Doing a ton of damage, her active skill hits like a truck. Deals 800% of attack damage to all enemies 2 times, inflicts authority manipulation, and afterwards deals extra 600 attack damage to all targets who have taken damage, and with every debuff the target has, the extra damage will be increased by 600% of attack damage. So basically a ton of extra damage, that much I can tell you. You will see that in a second. And the buff conversion and everything, you really start to notice that the enemy, even sometimes towards the end of turn 1, has no attack anymore on his heroes, which is yeah, a bit insane, really. So that is really something. You will see that in some of the videos we're going to watch, because we're going to take the last chance that I have to show you guys Void Horde, because Void Horde will be gone for me in just about, I guess, a day or two. So we will do this video today and we'll watch the PvP fights that I have in there, because those are, yeah, well, the only real PvP fights that we have left in the game, sadly, with no proper PvP mode other than that. And sadly, Void Horde coming to an end until we see Void Campaign Island 9, which I'm not really looking forward to, honestly, but Void Horde 9 would be kind of nice. So, beyond that, some cool things that I noticed, and one thing that we probably won't see in those fights, at least I don't remember, this one is quite cool. Her on-death effect is actually quite nice, because we have like Curse of Decay in there, and you really start to see this when it hits the enemy, and suddenly there is this Forces mark, Curse of Decay on him, and sometimes that really kills off an enemy. It's quite funny, because she often tends to get kills when she dies. So rather nice thing. Wouldn't go for any kind of suicide build or something. But it's quite cool, and honestly, if you go to her Destiny rank 6 ability, there is something cool in there that you shouldn't miss. This effect actually usually triggers when you have 12 layers of transition power, but it also triggers when she dies. So when she dies, actually quite a lot of stuff happens. It triggers her Destiny rank 6 DT ability, then we have all of her skills triggering, and it's quite insane. So, but without further ado, let's hop into video. Maybe we should check out the role before we do that. So that's the role. Twine immunities on there. We have control immunity offset. She has CC, like her basic can actually inflict basically all of the CC, but I think we need a bit more control precision to make that work. If that was like control precision, maybe really we run this role for Twine immunity. Let's be real about this. We run this role for Twine immunity. So we went in there with my regular PvP team. Patricia's in there. We have DGN, very nice combination. 94%, you can see it here, and it's the last Void Horde, so actually this game mode completely ends at that point. Jesus has already reached it, and the point where I put her in my team is basically here. This was like one of the first attacks that we have in here, and ever since I have not left this. And this is like since the video where I got the core. So since then I have been at Void Horde level 10, absolute maximum. Nobody has managed to beat me. So we can watch like the first fight, start off with that. You will see that her active skill hits all of the enemies, and it does quite a ton of damage. So starting off, that's why we have the Twine immunity, so actually that we keep the energy. And keep in mind, that is just with the Snow Heart. So everybody goes to half-life. We hit the entire enemy team. I think in this fight, actually, we see her die. I think this was the one fight where she actually dies. So keep tuned for that. That is actually quite the cool one. Usually she doesn't die. But in this fight, unfortunate or fortunate circumstances led to her dying. So in that regard, one of the more interesting fights, I reckon, from the ones we're going to see. So there she's actually dead, and now you will see the Curse of Decay under the enemy's feet in a second, and there it is. So no more buffs for the enemy. We see the SQH dying to that, and if the enemy had an FFF, that would actually lead to him losing a ton more life, but quickly made short work of this enemy. You can see the main damage here came from our IHP, which is usually still the case. She doesn't often out damage IHP, but then again, that is a difficult thing to do, given that the copy is a lot better, the damage rolls on there are a lot more oriented towards that, and I think I have Hunter's Focus, and I have really quite a good roll on my Patricia, which I hope we can also get one on my IAE, but till then I think I'm quite fine with the Twine Immunity roll. I mainly want the Twine Immunity. If I could decide on a roll, it would probably be something like Twine Immunity, Defier, Control Precision, and maybe Hunter's Focus or Control Immunity Offset. That is something that I could see for her, going for the big damage, the nukes, and maybe, I was even considering that, I was thinking about just going for Harp actually on her, because you see those huge nukes hitting the enemy quite insanely, and that was not even with her DT. We have the DT on the second active skill, because she has active skill transition power gain, so in that regard quite massive. And of course the combination is also there. We have the massive DGN active skills that are actually powered up by all of the effects that IAE gives us, and that is quite the devastating combination. So we'll see how little damage we actually start to take, of course, or HHA had to die there. That's quite unfortunate. But you see how low the damage numbers are, 51 million, stuff like this, so really not threatening at all. The basic quite interesting as well. We have some effects from like Fear and everything. We have all of the CC effects, the basic ones, on her basic skill. And it really does a ton of damage for her basic. Hits all of the enemies, which triggers SQH, of course. It also triggers HHA, yes. So you kind of want to have a bit of precision on there. So it is a bit difficult to balance her out in that regard, because you kind of want a lot. But her base level of power is just so high already, that everything you add to it just makes her better. And the feeling of just being a great hero, that is something that she has in common with a lot of the Dark Transcendence here. And we're fighting not a bad team here. I mean, it looked like it. It looked like it wasn't a strong team, but look at that. There's an SS tier IHP that we are facing there. So that is by no means a bad team. That was a full S tier team, 3 SS heroes on there, so not weak at all. And I think I made it seem like this was B tiers or something. So and this guy tried it like 2 times. We're not going to watch the second time, because I want to like show different teams. So we're just going to watch all of the fights against the different players and just one of them, because some of them tried multiple times. None of them got through though. Interestingly enough, on this one, I'm still using the HHA core. Later on, I experimented a bit with the IAE core, actually, because it's quite interesting. Quite the interesting core, playing a bit into this removing attribute reduction stuff, which in PvP plays more of a role than you would think, because I had this SSM team, I remember. And this team actually really struggled with those attribute reductions, because as soon as you really got to the point where he was starting to be good, well, you were stuck with a lot of attribute reductions and not really able to do anything anymore. And I wonder if you could use SSM now again with IAE on the battlefield, because she would really take care of those attribute reductions. His team, of course, a bit weaker, but still, I mean, like, we've got 3 S tiers in there, S tier, IHP, not really a weak thing, and it's like 4 Destiny rank 6 heroes, so even though that looked like free-to-play fighting us, that was quite far away from it, so quite insane. I think we can watch this one as well. This one was, I think, a bit of a weaker team, though. But really, the power in this is in the attribute reductions. We can quite easily let the enemy go down to 0 attack. We can quite easily avoid that with IAE and make the attribute reductions that we get into buffs, actually. So the difference into when you fight a team that doesn't use DG and that doesn't use IAE is quite obvious already on turn 2, where the enemy has no or barely any attack, and you are still looking good. You're still in a great position in terms of attack, sometimes even have more attack than at the start of the fight. So in that regard, really quite great to use her. And the damage, of course, also is really nice. Barely any enemy, sadly, able to survive long enough. And maybe we can fight the guild member too. This guy tried it like 4 times. But we're not going to watch that, because that one was really not that strong, sadly. I think there were some B tiers in there. I don't know why he attacked me 4 times as well. So yeah, HHA core, of course, really nice if you fight a team like this, where they try to burst you down with this wonderful melodic strings or upgrade deific melodic strings strategy on the TBB, and horribly fail because TBB just does no damage if she hits a twine immune HHA with GPF on there. So really, in that regard, it is quite nice. So I'm not really sure which core I want to use. I will have to test more in depth, maybe against Jesus. And this DGN active, very, very strong. Just feels like the enemy has no defense at all. And also, defense is a topic which is quite interesting. It is really not that useful anymore. Like, you can't really tell the difference in terms of tankiness between a hero, like SQH, but a wonderful example here of having no attack at all. They couldn't, the pinks didn't even deal any damage to that SQH. It's quite fancy. Defense ignoring hits from IHP, couldn't do anything. So it's quite funny. You really don't notice the difference though between the heroes on my team carrying the deific Snow Hearts and HHA with that gilded purple fan. Like it's no difference really. And in the later iteration of this team, I actually changed that to a Snow Heart because, well, yeah, doesn't make much sense for me to run gilded purple fan on him if that doesn't really make him more tanky. So, yeah, again, basic, sometimes really devastating, not always, but has some nice extra effects to it. Sometimes you get a nice CC, and Patricia always there on the team for the cleanup. Though I often see DGN do that too, where we can see the huge hits, there it is. And really, the team usually quills quite fast, considering how many support heroes we really run. DJN being mostly considered a support hero, even though, of course, she's quite strong. IAE from her kit you would consider a support hero. So really, we are only running one real damage dealer in that regard, and still taking quick care of almost every team. I wonder how she's going to implement. Of course, right now we see the situation where the enemy isn't running it and I'm running it. And if you think about the similar situation with the hero that is maybe a bit more known at PDE. If you were running PDE and the enemy isn't, and you were maybe also running a TBB, you could easily take care of most enemy teams. So maybe it is kind of a new meta switch where you really want to have IAE. I could see that, like the results are pretty promising. So in that regard, quite positive on that note. Once again, a very strong Dark Transcendence hero. I don't mind that I upgraded her, that I soul perfected her, was quite a good invest. I think if I put that on the auction house now, I'll probably sell it for more than I've put in it. So pretty good. Might even think about going for an even better copy, even though we have one that is kind of towards the end of S tier. But even if I would like, if I had the option to buy an SSS tier IE now, I probably would take it. Yeah. Like 250k or something, if I could pay that for it, I would do it. Because it's really a nice hero. So, yeah, if you have any question about it or want me to test something, write it down in the comments. Till then, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.